Okay, so my fault, guys. For some reason my streaming software was giving issue, but anyway, let's go ahead and make sure everybody has the link again and we'll get started. Alright, give me 1 second. Okay, so we see gold going down here. Oh, sorry if that echoed, but okay, here we go. Okay, it's much better now. Let's see what it's doing here. So here it had this engulfing right here, but I'm not really convinced with this engulfing. We have seen price break this right here and then break this, so actually it may continue going down. We'll see what happens. Maybe it grabs this first before it drops, but it is a bearish day today and I expect that the least price will do is go ahead and the least, since it's bearish, right? And I think today's going to be a heavy bearish day. I think the easiest case scenario would be to reverse at least 50% of the New York session, which it just did right here, right? And if we did a short position right here and stop loss above the high plus 2 pips, this could have been your stop like right here, and a 2R would be possibly around here. Now this is a little bit unorthodox compared to our current strategy entry, because normally we would want an entry above 50% of the day's range, right? Because from the current low to the high, 50% range would be right here. Now the only reason I don't consider this 50% range is because today's Wednesday, and Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are usually expansion days, which means price may move fast, okay? Which means we probably wouldn't get an entry for price to come back all the way up here and then drop, especially when we have no news, okay? So in a case like that, very crucial of whether price will return to 50% or not, okay? So anyway, that's just my thought on it. And will this trade work out? Probably not. I didn't get into this trade, just for transparency's sake. I have not entered this trade. Give me 1 moment. And also we will be reviewing, let me go ahead and remove this, but we will be reviewing GBP and ZD yesterday. Looks like it dropped during news and then retraced, right? It retraced. Let's see, we entered right around here. Okay, so it did kind of retrace back, but overall it looked like it was a good trade, right? If we go on the 15-minute, maybe we'll see it better. It dropped right here, so it did drop quite a bit before news, right? And then it dropped again, and if we entered somewhere up here, right? If we had entered somewhere up here when it was dropping and you used 15 pip stop loss, which would have been up here, you would have got, it shows that you would have got a 3R, right? So I got out probably, I think it was just over 2R. I think those who are using the trade copier would be able to verify, but I got out like around this level here. Let's see on the 5 minute. Actually, I won't really go on the 5 minute. I don't think that will tell us anything, but basically we got out pretty good. It was around here, I guess, that we entered, and stop loss, I mean, we got out like probably here. It did drop some more, but we got out around here. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I hope everybody who took this trade profited on it. And let's get back to gold. So let's see, let's go back here. And right now for gold, we're waiting for price to possibly break this area here before dropping. Okay. Alright. It broke it now. And now maybe we could see if we get a trade set up, if we get an engulfing for the downside. I do have my MT4 and everything ready. Let me go ahead and turn on my magic keys, and once I get a trade set up, I will let you guys know. So currently we will be going on, let's see, I'll explain why I'm looking for a trade set up around this area here in a second, but we need to see some type of engulfing here. Okay. So what exactly am I waiting for? Let's take a look at this. So basically today, if I go on a daily chart, right, you'll notice the range yesterday was a pretty big range, right, compared to the previous day, and even on NFP day, right, and then also on the previous day. So, and yesterday we didn't have any actual like hardcore news or anything. It was a Tuesday, which we know Tuesdays Wednesdays and Thursdays are probably going to be the biggest candles. Now, last week Thursday was the smallest candle, and then NFP made this candle bigger but not big enough, and then this candle here was pretty small. So yesterday, when we have our first big candle in a while, we expect that today is going to be an expansion range where we get another big move, or we're going to get a really small move. Okay? Now, using that information on the daily chart, expecting a big expansion move, we don't have any news today that could drive this big. So we could only assume that it's either going to, one, continue the trend of where it's been going, or two, it's going to reverse and stay like a really small candle. We don't expect it to be big because why? Tomorrow is CPI. So we know that yesterday was Tuesday and it was an expansion. Tomorrow is CPI, so we expect a big expansion. So today we could expect a smaller move, okay? And that's how I look at it on the daily. Now, if I go on the 1 minute using that information, okay, so we probably won't get a trade setup in this area here, right? The next area we could look for setup is above the 50% range of the day. Now, from that being said, if I go on a 1 minute chart, right, and I zoom out, you could clearly see we were bearish for the day, but during London session, it started that bearish move. Since London open, it's only been going down, well, Frankfurt open, and you could see here that this would be the equilibrium area right here. So we could expect price will go up here, trade in this area here. So if I do, maybe we could add a box. We still have a lot of time, 20 plus minutes, right? This area right here is an area of confluence that we need price to travel to, okay? In this area here, we're going to have our signal. With that being said, normally we would wait until price is up here or whatever, but sometimes price may continue driving down, but we are bearish for the day and it's already been going down. So what we can expect from this is that price will now give us the entry in somewhere in this area to go down, okay? My original idea was that price was breaking these highs to grab stop losses above them to then continue downwards, right? And it did grab them, but then it kept going higher. So yeah, it wasn't what I expected. However, our trade setup will be somewhere in here, so that's what we're waiting for. And this blue line is just yesterday's low. So it has broken yesterday's low and reversed a little bit. If we go on the 15 minute, let's see, we see a big bullish candle which could take us up to this area right here or this area. So we do have, if you're into supply and demand, we do have some supply there and here. So if I was to just mark this off together, it is in this area of confluence, right? So seeking a trade in this area is not a bad idea. Preferably right here, around this area here. Otherwise we could see a trade somewhere up in here, which on the 5 minute, if I look here for the best supply zone, it wouldn't even be around here. It would be this one right here, because this one is the one that has the biggest moves behind it. Or you would have to take this whole area as your supply zone right here, because it did consolidate before going further down, right? On the 1 minute, we also see price did play around in this area right here, okay? Before breaking above and then trading back into this. I do know some traders who do take trades based off of, you have an area of consolidation, right? And then it breaks below and immediately breaks above. I think people would assume that that's the Wyckoff theory. So I'm not really sure if this is something people trade. I don't trade the Wyckoff theory. Okay, so what are we waiting on right now? We are waiting for price to reach up in this area right here. Okay, looks like it's starting to go down now. Alright. This could be going further down to keep going higher, but overall I think today we will have a ranging day. Okay. We gotta keep in mind that today we are still overall bearish, so we're just waiting. There's nothing we could really do. I was hoping we may be able to get, looks like it grabbed liquidity from the high of the session, the New York session right here. And on a 5-minute, this looks like it was an engulfing candle. So now we could see price create some sort of imbalance right here and then trade up into the imbalance and then continue going lower. So that is a possibility here. Now on the 1 minute, what I would like to see is this area of the 5-minute imbalance becomes something like this, where price doesn't really trade up into it until price gets down here. That way, this is a 0.6 or 0.5 area of confluence. That way we could get into a trade once price trades back up here. But we're not sure. This is too much into discount to sell right here. If we go on the 5-minute, it's still creating that imbalance, so it could change. Alright, so it closed the imbalance, so it didn't really even have an imbalance right here. Right? It's going down, but it may trade back up into it, we'll see. On a 1 minute, we see an engulfing right here. I don't like this engulfing because, first of all, it's too close to the low of the day, but this engulfing could be the one that works out. It hasn't had an engulfing while it was going up here above this area, so now that it creates an engulfing right here, we could finally see, we could finally see it going down. Overall, I do believe that price will go down here. So if it does come back up, you could possibly take this trade. It's probably going to come back up and retest, so there is a high chance you could possibly get an entry here, but in my opinion, I'm probably going to stay out of this one. I would like my trade possibly in this area here, so I'm not trading anything. Alright, let's see. I'm going back to look at our trade last night, right before 11 p.m., right? 11 p.m. was right here, so right before it would have been right shorting right here, right? Stop loss was so even if you entered right here, so it did reach 3R. It reached about 3.5. So this was it could have reached 3R. I'm still thinking I'm still looking at why I exited so early. So I exited just like maybe right here. I could have got my full 3R right here if I had just waited this candle out, but I didn't. So I'm just thinking, I like to review the charts on why I lost. And, well, I didn't lose, I made money on this trade, but why I panic exited too early. Okay, so it did give us a re-entry here, right? But like I said, I'm not taking this trade here. If you took it, I do believe it's going to keep going down, right? Because it's a very, very, very bearish. Once it gets to this area right here, probably move your stops to break even. Okay. Let me see if I can add. Something I noticed, did they change TradingView? Did they remove the arrow line? Because I don't see it, so maybe like right here, change your stops to break even. Okay, like right here, change your stops to break even and then go for a 2R. Alright, did anyone get in this trade here? I do believe it's gonna work out. Let me go ahead and, I was thinking of taking it, but right here, but now I don't know. It could tap into this area of, you could say that this right here is a, brick or block, or whatever. ICT is like proportion block or breaker block. I'm not even sure what it's called, honestly. So it could tap into this area right here. In which case, you could possibly take the entry like right here above the, if it creates another engulfing, you could take like an entry right there. Obviously your stop loss is going to be different because it has to be whatever the engulfing candle's high is. It has this imbalance right here. It's a 5-minute imbalance, and then you have a 1-minute breaker right here, right? So if it trades up here, you could possibly get into it if it has an engulfing. That just gives you like another confluence for the trade. Okay, so here is the breaker block. So if this next candle has like an engulfing right here, I may look to short it for a little bit, right? Because also if I move the Fibonacci from low to high, right, it's also touching into this area. So you have 3 confluences, which is like the 1-minute breaker right here, break and retest, right? Then you have this imbalance that got hit, or a fair value gap, and then you have overall, this is the 61 area, right? So if this candle engulfs, let me see if I can probably set a trade up here. I will just open my magic keys just in case. I'm not entering a trade yet. I'm just opening it just in case. We'll keep watching it. Here, let me go ahead and enter this if I could get it in time. Let me see. Okay. Let me see if I can enter here. I do want to enter here in a little bit. Actually, I know what I'll do. I will enter if price goes back down below the red. So I'll show you what I'm gonna do here. I didn't enter yet, but if price goes down, I'm setting a sell stop, right? So if price goes down towards the bottom of the wick, it will enter a trade. And that's if it does it within the next few candles. So let me go ahead and enter this and show you guys. Okay, so I'm entering a sell stop, right? And what I'm looking for is price to come back down here, and then it enters the trade right here. If it doesn't go up above this area too much, and then it comes down here, I'm going to enter the trade. Alright. Let's see. If it does come down here, it is going to enter the trade. If it doesn't enter the trade, I'm going to leave this alone. So if it doesn't enter, maybe in the next 2 minutes, I'll leave it alone. Alright, it looks like it wants to enter the trade. It hasn't entered yet. I may close, depending on how it enters the trade, I may just I may close this stop, this sell stop, and we may not just get triggered. Okay, I mean, I guess I'll just close the sell stop order. Yeah, it doesn't, it's ranging right now. I'll close the sell stop. We're not going to enter a trade. I was hoping that price would break this low right here, around this low, and then continue going down. So we haven't taken any trades yet, but the trade would have been this. Let me show you. So it would have been something like this, but the stop is really high. And I was going to put the stop above this area right here. And this would have been a nice 2-hour target because it's not below the low. But obviously price does not want to give us this entry here, so we're just waiting. And I'm not sure if you saw this, but if you go from the bottom, the low, to the high of the New York session, look where it came back down to. Came back down to the 0.61 level. So this may continue going higher. Let's look at what the 5 minute is doing. I'm going to stay maybe another like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We'll see 10 minutes to see if we could get a trade, but let's see. It created an imbalance right here, so maybe it can come retest this imbalance and continue, but I'm not taking trades up based off of like these concepts. It's just concepts that I do know. If it does come back down here, would be nice to go up, but it may break this before breaking this high here. Now one thing I do want to check also is pound USD, because I have been showing you guys a strategy on pound USD, and I want to make sure that, let's see what it did today. So yesterday it was successful, right? On Monday it was a failure. Okay, Monday failed. Yesterday passed, right? But it is a 2R, so this is 0111, but you made 1R, so let's see what it did here. So we mark from midnight, right? We want to mark the last swing high, which is right here, and the last swing low, which is from midnight, would be right here. So the last swing low, it didn't have one before this, so we would mark the lowest point. Okay, let's go on the 1 minute chart, and all you're looking for is a swing low to be broken like this below. When it broke this line right here, you want it to change character, which it changes character right here, right? Let me just mark this as a different color so you can see purple. It breaks it, and then we expect it to go back into an imbalance between there, and the only imbalance we see is this one right here. That wasn't, so between all these, right, this was an imbalance, but it already got touched right here, right, like that. Then you had another imbalance right here, so it was something like this, right? And then you had this imbalance that also counts because it was during the time it broke this area right here. This area was formed between the last, this was the last swing high before it broke lower. Oh, actually no, I'm sorry, technically it had a low right here, so this would be the change of character, right? Because it has, if you look closely right here, it has a swing low right here, and we know a swing low is when market has a lowest low in the middle between the next two candles, the one before it and the one after it. So it technically changed character right here when it broke this highest point over here. So then this would have been the imbalance that you take it off of, okay? And you mark your entry there, your stop loss is 15 pips, right? It's always 15 pips. And your take profit is 30 pips. So let's see if it will go to 30 pips. And yeah, so it has been going heavily down since the London session, so we should see some type of, see if it hits 2R right here. This 2R is way above the last swing, so we should say that that target should be hit pretty easily, but this is the pound USD trade, and if you calculate, if this wins and you calculate yesterday's wins, you would be up 3R even with the loss on Monday. So that's something we'll look into further, but here we have this trade trying to come back down. I'm not trading anything to go up on gold because we are bearish for the day, but you could go ahead and take this trade if you're very confident in yourself. Alright, so it's now touching this area right here. What we could see is price breaks this low right here before it reverses, right? So what you would want is an engulfing either after this area here or this area here to go up. But because tomorrow's CPI, it could just keep ranging today. I'll wait 5 more minutes just to see what we see. But other than that, we may not get a trade today. Alright. Alright, let's see what happens. I'm just watching at this point. We're probably not going to get a setup. Okay, so it's creating. Maybe it could create an engulfing right here. If it does, possibly gives a signal. No, it doesn't. Alright, so there was no engulfing, but we could see this go higher now. I do see it going possibly to this area here. I think we'll end it off in about 3 minutes. I don't think we're gonna get a setup that we want to go down, because we have until 10 to find a setup, but I don't think we'll get one because it has to go in this area before we could get a sell setup. And if we look at pound USD, it's still trading regular. I will post a video on YouTube about this strategy here, so I hope you guys will understand. But let's look at yesterday's trade. So this was yesterday's trade. We see price going lower, right here, and technically you could have entered right here, but it was a little bit too close after 8. I like my trades to come like after 8:30 when the news, right? But you could possibly get it here. If you lost that one, then you possibly just went for another entry. Let me see if this one would have, because that's this right here is a you could say this is a change of character, but the range is not good. I don't think this would have been a good trade actually. Like I said yesterday, the low was not broken, right? It was not closed below, right? So it created the swing, yes, but the low was not broke and closed below. So the last low that was broken and closed below would have been this one right here. It was broken and closed below, then price reversed, then you had this imbalance right here. But I took it based off of this imbalance here. So as you see, it hit 2R. So if we go to today, the same thing, right? The low is broken, right? And the last low that is closed below is this one right here. Candle closes below it, reverses, comes back into the imbalance, and starts going higher. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's take a look at gold. I still believe gold is long term is in this area right here. Okay. Okay. What are we waiting for now? I don't think we're gonna see a trade setup, guys, so I'm probably going to end the stream off here. It was pretty good in terms of just looking. We probably will get a trade tomorrow because tomorrow's CPI. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day and expect videos to be out soon. Alright? Thank you for everything, and I hope you guys have a good day. See you tomorrow.